I'm very angry at my husband, my wife, and I don't want to say things or do things,
Mhm.
deep down, but I
Mhm.
know that when I get ratcheted up, I get this thing going,
Mhm.
because we're both pretty high spirited
Yes.
individuals, pretty passionate, when we get passionate,
Mhm.
like when we think we're right.
Mhm.
And then we're both at an impasse. That's when we're going to have
Yes.
the greatest intensity in our
Yes.
32 years of marriage.
Yeah.
So, like, what's your encouragement to that person in relationship that way? Maybe not
Um,
married, maybe dating,
yeah.
maybe coworkers.
I think, well, I can only answer it from what has worked for us.
Yeah,
And that is to stay committed to talking through
right,
until you get a
right,
resolve. And sometimes that looks like sharing emotions raw, just
right,
as they are.
right.
Like, no, I'm really mad about this.
I think
And
that's so key. Naming it.
yes.
You know what I mean? Going to the person you're emotional with in this situation
Hmm.
and saying, I'm just experiencing anger right now. And so it kind of frames it for them. Well, they say whatever you can name, you can tame.
Yes.
It frames that for them in such a way where they can go, okay, I'm not, because I think most of the time what happens in arguments, we're already talking about marriage. What
Yeah.
happens in arguments is that I'm not hearing you talk about what you're struggling with. I'm hearing what I did wrong,
Yes.
even if I don't think I did anything wrong. And so I'm already positioned for like, oh yeah, you think I did something wrong? Well, I'm going to tell you what you did wrong.
Right.
And now we're fighting about what we didn't even know we were fighting about.
Right.
So
Right.
I think naming it like that,
Hmm.
going, I just got to tell you, I'm really struggling. And I think was it Townsend that had the People Fuel book that had a
Uh-huh.
vocabulary
Yes.
of a book of words inside the book. The book is
People
Emotional
fuel.
People Fuel. Great book because
Yes.
it gives you language. It so was helpful to me because I would always, if Dana would say, "What's wrong with you?" I'd be like, I'm just frustrated. I'm just frustrated. I'm just mad. I wouldn't say it's mad
No.
because Christians don't get mad.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I'm just frustrated. And it was like this same blasé word that I would use,
Uh-huh.
but not really express what I was really feeling.
Right.
You know, and sometimes they say anger is kind of that
It's
funnel word at the end. It all comes out as anger, but what goes in is hurt, worry, loss, anxiety,
uh-huh.
stress. And it just comes out anger because
Yeah.
that's the only thing, especially with men. That's what we've been taught is the go-to emotion
Right.
to get stuff done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't want to go like, I'm really hurt by
Right.
what you said because you can't hurt a man, and you get what I'm saying? That's
Right.
that's the messaging of all this.
Right.
And so, or man, I was really offended or I was really sad.
Uh-huh.
So the People Fuel book was great in that it gave at least me
Right.
language to,
Right.
and he has a whole list. You just go through and go like,
Right.
that's what I'm feeling.
Right.
I feel disconnected, right? I feel lonely right now.
Right.
And that I feel alone in this thing.
Yeah.
And then, what would happen, I think, with the right wording, now you can really address and see the emotion,
Uh-huh.
and go, oh, hey, I'm sorry you're feeling
Uh-huh.
alone. You're not alone. I'm with you on this. So
Uh-huh.
let's talk about, change the whole conversation.
Right. And I think too, when we can start understanding that for a man typically to share emotion
Right.
is very difficult. And when I started affirming, I want to know
Yeah.
how you're feeling. I want to know what's going on with you emotionally.
Yeah.
I think that opened the door for you to begin sharing those things. And then as I responded, not always like, oh, that was wonderful to know how upset
Right.
you are with me,
Right.
but just responded and accepted you,
Right.
that flow continued
Right.
and
Yeah, because
it's
once
gotten
you do
easier.
it, yeah, and again, there's a risk in that. Like
Of
if
course.
you're gonna like expose your heart, and that's vulnerability. Like if I tell you how I'm really feeling, then you could be like, "You're such a wuss,"
Right.
or whatever, and which you would never do. But that's the culture, the lies of your mind, the things of that.
Right.
But once you make that risk, you take that risk, you step out
Mhm.
into it. All of a sudden, now it gets like a positive, and I feel allied. I feel like I have somebody with me.
Right.
Well, now, I mean, it's the old conversation we have all the time of like, if I can name it, I can take, if I can get it up and out,
Right.
then I'm not dwelling on it anymore and struggling with the same, thought processes and whatnot.
Right.
So I think it's incredibly helpful.